Hello, hello. Once again, this is Blackjack, and today we're continuing on with my thoughts on Class 1A's hero costumes. Following up last episode, we have seeds 11 through 15. That's Shoji, Jiro, Sero, Tokuyami, and Todoroki. Another good mix, and to be honest, someone in this group has my favorite costume out of all of them. And just a quick refresher, my opinions are based on the thought put into a costume, so how it works with the character's look, their quirk, and any other details that might be important. Starting off, well, pretty weak, we have 11th seat Mezo Shoji, hero name Tentacle. I say weak only because for someone as cool and unique as Shoji's design is, his hero outfit is kneecapped because of it. His quirk, Duple Arms, essentially gives him 2 extra sets of arms on top of his normal ones, and that means it's pretty much impossible for him to have sleeves, therefore lowering the real estate on his outfit dramatically. Much like my thoughts on Koda last episode, I think Shoji has a sort of C-tier comic outfit that you would see in one of the older comics. It's a classic jumpsuit accounting for his arms, but compared to the others we've seen, it doesn't have a lot going on. As opposed to Koda though, Shoji has full-on pants, which already makes it better than his, at least. Now, I do want to say that his costume is trying to evoke an octopus theme, but I'd say that's a bit hard to see. There's 6 eye-like designs on his chest, and adding in his normal eyes, that would make 8. While octopuses are associated with the number 8, and his tentacles are compared to them, 8 eyes seems a bit weird. And there's also a bigger eye in his belt, which would make 9? I'm not quite sure I follow. Even the mask he wears is what he always wears, and it doesn't really have anything added onto it. Just to add a little bit more to talk about though, he does have a mouth under there. While not much of a surprise, his concept art shows that he does actually have a mouth, and he just wears the mask to hide it. And if you look at it, you can see why. It also implies that he can copy his entire head rather than just an eye or a mouth, but that remains to be seen in the series proper. Shoji is another one of those characters that, while their basic design is strong, it unfortunately limits their actual outfit. All that said, he is a man that values simplicity, and that's about as much as you can say for his outfit. It's a bit of a shame that such interesting character designs are limited by their designs. It's really hard to design clothes for characters with such massive mutations compared to normal humans. As long as I'm talking about his design itself, I might as well mention some possible references. Now, it's probably not much of a surprise to say that Naruto was rather influential on My Hero's development. Taking that into account, I think Shoji's design may have had some influence from 2 specific characters from the series. I'll preface this by saying, yeah, this is just conjecture, but Shoji's taller size, spiky white hair, and constant wearing of a face mask definitely bring to mind Kakashi Hatake, Naruto's teacher. Their appearances are pretty similar, along with their more serious personalities, and they even have similar faces, similar eye designs, at least from what we can see. The other character that I think may have influenced Shoji is probably a bit less remembered. In my head, I feel his triple arm look might have come from Kidomaru, though you'd probably remember him better if I said he was one of the Sound 4 from the original series. Kidomaru is based around spiders, and like Shoji, he has 3 arms joined to the shoulders, making a total of 8 limbs compared with his legs. And though they have complete hands and are conjoined, it's still a pretty specific look. And while there are plenty of other characters with similar ideas, Naruto is probably a pretty direct example that you can draw from. Horikoshi is definitely a fan. Many people have pointed out that there's quite a few similarities between My Hero and Naruto, just in terms of story arcs, characters, character beats, rivalries, that sort of thing. Moving on to what would be one of his more original ideas is seat number 12, Kyoka Jiro, aka Earphone Jack. I'm a fan of the name. In my opinion, and probably one I share with a lot of people, she occupies pretty much the same space as Kaminari, at least costume-wise. Much like him, her outfit doesn't scream costume much more than a jacket and a pair of jeans would do. She does get a bit of extra points for having some good gear to start with, but it isn't until her second outfit that she gets really anything to make her stand out. Not a whole lot to say about her actual outfit's aesthetic design other than it fits her punk personality. It's cool, and I can definitely see her wearing it, but yeah, it looks like she'd wear it regardless of whether or not it was a costume. And even her face paint looks like it could be part of her face. It wouldn't stand out any more than her ears, or any of the other mutant types. And might as well mention that her hair has an AKG meter used as the highlight. That's what people typically use to measure heartbeats, working with her quirk. And just as a quick fun fact, Horikoshi credits Jiro's earphone jack as the first official quirk he thought up, so he definitely had time to consider how it would be used. And this can be shown early on when she first uses it. She's one of the few that start with gear. Thinking mostly ahead, Jiro had amps installed in her boots for use in conjunction with her jacks. Kind of a good and bad thing, they blend in with her boots, making them hard to see. On one side, this could be good to use on a villain that doesn't notice them, but they don't stand out at all, weakening the design of her actual costume. And seeing as there's not a ton to say on her first outfit, we can quickly move on to her second. It's mostly the same, barring the addition of some new gear. She gets a pair of headphones, but they don't seem to do anything beyond add to the design. The more important thing would be that she gets a set of gloves that include amps like on her boots. These gloves are in a much more convenient location for her to use her jacks to plug in, giving her a much better method of attacking seen in the license exam arc. Her boots seem a bit better suited to long-range attacks, whereas these are a bit better for more direct attacks, seen when she destroys the Earth. Both are a well-thought-out use for her quirk, and that said, I imagine a good bonus would be an amp closer to her jacks. She has a choker, so maybe a smaller version of the amp there, maybe on the shoulders if that would maybe cause hearing issues if they were too close to her ears. She does have a disadvantage against loud noises too close to her ears, but I'm sure you can make it work. She already does have a bit of a distance to go to her boots, and a bit less for her hands, but that still leaves them a bit vulnerable. Racing along to seat 13, we have Hanta Sero, aka Cellophane, and oh boy, we're here. Sero's outfit is my favorite of all 20 of the students, and I'm going to come right out and say that. In addition to just looking rad, it also lets you know exactly who you're dealing with. Unlike the other jumpsuit wearers, Sero's outfit has pattern and one that serves an actual purpose. Shoji's had a bit of a design, but it doesn't mean a whole lot in the long run. Sero, on the other hand, has a black and white section, making what looks like sort of toothy, jagged pattern. It's undoubtedly meant to represent tape, either the tape itself after it's been removed from a dispenser, or the tape dispenser itself and the jagged tearing edge. The pattern gives you enough of a hint about Sero and his tape quirk, but so do his shoulder pads, which are designed after dispensers as well. And his helmet is another dispenser, and also mixes it with Daft Punk to make a really, really cool helmet. Add in a bit of tape-like trim, and you have something that looks like it could be from a Cyberpunk game, or maybe a character from a futuristic racing series. Even without the helmet, it's still cool, iconic, and gives you a hint at its quirk. Sadly, it doesn't really do anything to assist Sero's quirk, but that's the only downside in my opinion. I myself can't think of much that would be suited to giving him a new angle or ability like other characters, but I don't really blame Horikoshi for not being able to think of one either. And sadly, while I think it's easily my favorite design, it isn't the best costume. Yeah, it's hard to think of an extra bit of gear to add, but there's one other character that I think does a tiny bit better coming up next episode. It also doesn't really have a lot to talk about, nor does it have any outlining details. It's cool and makes you think of tape, but that's really all it does. It doesn't have any special gear or anything else to add. Just to pad out the length a bit, he does have a beta design. It's not really much different than his actual final design, but still something to mention. It has far more complex boots, resembling yet another tape dispenser, and there's some extra tape bits along the legs. I forgot to mention Sue has a similar design with a similar problem, having much too much detail on her feet. And now that we're done with my favorite, we can move on to seat 14, Fumikage Tokiyami, Hironame Tsukiyomi, who might just have my least favorite. Yeah, it's boring. That's about it. It's just a black cloak. There's not really anything really going on with it. His design is far more focused on his bird-like head and dark shadow than his costume itself. And even beyond that, I feel that Tokiyami's costume is the least thought out of any of them, barring maybe Kaminari, even then. Tokiyami, while not the smartest student in class, carries himself as being rather intelligent, and very aware of what his quirk can do and the limits it has. In addition, his quirk has the largest weakness of anyone else in the class. We see in the training camp arc that Dark Shadow can go absolutely berserk without light, and Tokiyami is acutely aware of this and is shown to be fully aware that there's a serious problem involved and that he has to maintain control, otherwise he can hurt people. None of that is apparent in his costume. Above anything, his costume fits with his brooding personality rather than his quirk. True, the cloak is designed so that Dark Shadow can hide underneath it and store darkness, allowing it to be used longer, but that's all it does. Dark Shadow requires a sort of charging period, hiding out in the shadows, which is useful, but you can do so much more with the design. If Tokoyami really thought about it, then there's plenty he can do to assist with his quirk. For starters, it gets weak in places with a lot of light. Hiding under his cloak works fine, but I'd say a good idea would be able to release a smoke screen. That would immediately fill the area with smoke, allowing Dark Shadow to operate with increased power and also disorient enemies that can't see as well. But really, even if Tokoyami added one thing to his costume, it should be a method to quell a berserk Dark Shadow. It's shown that he can still speak and communicate even while it's going berserk, so there's honestly a very easy solution to a very bad problem. Now imagine if Dark Shadow went berserk again. It's unstoppable, even able to defeat a mass murder that can put Todoroki and Bakugo on edge in an instant. However, it's wild. It cuts off one of Shoji's arms, even if it is fine in the end. Instead of having to rely on light-emitting quirks to calm down, Tokoyami just shouts, "Lights on," and activates some voice-activated floodlights on his costume. Surely they can install something like that on, to say, his shoulders or anywhere else. Immediately, there's a good amount of light that can bring Dark Shadow under control. Honestly, I can't believe Tokoyami's outfit doesn't do anything. It has such a destructive potential if it's let loose, and not once did he consider a way that would allow him to control the light around him. It's not even a hard thing to make. A support student should be able to easily whip up some sort of voice-activated lights, which will prevent any chance of Tokoyami hurting anyone. Yeah. Though it fits, Tokoyami's outfit isn't very exciting. It doesn't have much thought put into it, and despite Tokoyami knowing that he has trouble controlling Dark Shadow, he doesn't do anything about it. And that's what I have to say about that. And with one rant aside, we have seat 15, Shoto Todoroki, aka Shoto. And gear up, because I have one more rant to go through before we end this video. Why did they change outfits? Seriously, it's a bummer to me. Todoroki's initial outfit is perfect for him, considering his power, personality, and past. It's a white shirt with white pants, alongside a backpack that helps regulate his body temperature. The other side, the one where he wants to use his flames, is completely coated in ice. It's almost as if he wants to distance himself from his flames and his fire side. I wonder why that is. Todoroki's first outfit is a perfect representation of his hang-ups. He's clad in all white, bringing focus onto his ice powers while covering up his fire. This mirrors how he refuses to use his fire in battle, solely using his ice despite his father. And it's also simple and clean, reflecting his direct, simplistic views of becoming a hero. And in addition, though he barely wears it, his half-ice mask has a singular glowing red eye. Judging from the perfect circle shape and Todoroki's ice powers, there's no doubt in my mind that this is based on Mr. Freeze of Batman fame. Looking at a few of Freeze's designs, we can see that a recurring element is that he tends to have a pure red circle eye, whether it's his actual eyes or some form of goggles. And seeing as Todoroki has ice powers and Horikoshi loves Western comics, it's way too direct to not be intentional. It's a shame we didn't see more of it. If I had to give some sort of justification for why Todoroki changed, honestly it's a very pragmatic reason. The half sides and the ice covering one side is probably pretty hard to draw. It's a lot cooler, yes, but must get really annoying to draw over and over again. And considering how important Todoroki was to Season 2 and onwards, it makes a lot of sense that you might want to do something a bit simpler in the long run. A recurring element with most of the beta designs I've shown you is that, while cooler, in a lot of cases, they're also a bit more complicated. The tape designs on Sero's outfit would be really annoying to draw over and over again, and especially if they were animated. Tsuyu's boots are too detailed, Sero's boots were too detailed, that sort of thing. Still, Todoroki's second outfit is a dramatic step down from the first. Horikoshi even admits that into the beta design. It is far less going on, and far less going on metaphorically as well. Wouldn't it make perfect narrative sense for Todoroki to wear the outfit that literally represents him rejecting his father up until the license exam arc? He holds on to his grudges with Endeavor, and they still follow him until he finally starts to get over it later on, even then still having an effect. This is perfectly represented in the fantasy AU from the fan polls and the ED. His left side is manifests as a literal demon, showing his cursed lineage with his father. It would have been perfect for him to wear ice over his fire side, at least until he dealt with his issues a bit more. Even as far as in the anime, we still see that there's lingering effects from his attempts to distance himself. Now, justifying it a bit more, he does change outfits after the sports festival, where he finally uses his fire in battle. That said, he still rejects his father, only using his fire because, in his words, he forgot he was there. Doesn't really make a lot of sense that he would change immediately following, but I guess that's a reason why. I would have accepted an outfit change a bit more if it had a bit more going on, at least. Todoroki's second outfit throws out any originality that he previously had, making it one solid color and axing the extra icy bits. It would have made more sense for it to be white rather than blue, as is. He's copying Endeavor's color scheme in favor of his icy white original jumpsuit, which doesn't really fit at all. At the very least, why doesn't an outfit still have a split color scheme? Even making one half white and the other half blue would have worked, and it would have been given a bit more context to his literal half and half quirk. But making it one color doesn't work nearly as well with the story. Todoroki is all about halves. One half fire, one half ice, one half mother, one half father. It makes no sense to connect him with just a singular color. And there's no variation on his outfit to justify it. And though it doesn't make much sense to unify the color scheme, at least the second outfit does have a couple of upgrades. His boots have had cleats added on for moving on ice, and his belts have little dangling bits that contain medicine and painkillers for rescue operations. Sure, these could have easily been added to his normal outfit, but we got what we got. Ended a bit strong there, didn't I? Those will be my thoughts on seats 11 through 15 of Class 1A, as well as some of my critiques on what actually changed between seasons. As I said, Sarah's my favorite of the bunch, but the rest aren't very strong contenders. Tokuyami would definitely be at the bottom because of how little thought he put into his outfit, but the rest are a bit more difficult. Todoroki would be higher, but his second outfit dramatically weakens his look, so I'll go ahead and put Shoji and Jiro over him. And with that, those are my thoughts on Class 1A, seats 11 through 15. Want to hear my thoughts on the next set of Classic 1A heroes? That will be Toru, Bakugo, main hero Midoriya, Trash Boy, and the very, very controversial Momo. I have quite a bit to say on her, and there's plenty to talk about with our protagonist and his rival. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more, and let me know if you liked my video, and if you didn't, let me know what I can fix. Blackjack out.